Hi guys. This is just kind of a chitty chatty video. I am still a little bit sick. I feel tons better, but I still have a little bit of my voice being weird and a little bit of a cough. But I do feel tons better finally. Um, I was on antibiotics. I think they were worried that it was going to turn into um, bronchitis or pneumonia, since apparently that's been happening with a lot of people who are going in with this illness. Excuse me. Um, but I was just, thinking, I've done a lot of videos with my rabbits, maybe not as much with the fish, but I am still a fairly new fish keeper. I've had fish in the past, but I've always pretty much kept fish wrong in the past. Um, so I I don't have a problem ever showing my fish or my snails or anything like that, but I don't know everything. Of course, if I show them and you guys have any suggestions for me, I'm open to hearing them. I just ask that they're not rude. Because everybody starts somewhere, and it's not like I don't know nothing, but I know I don't know everything. But anyway, I was thinking though, I've done videos with the fish, I've done videos with the snails, I've done, not extensive videos on those, but I've done videos with the bunnies, just watching them, doing some educational ones on their food and their, spaying and neutering, bonding, things like that. But I'm kind of at a loss as to what more to do without being repetitive. So I was just kind of hoping that someone would have some ideas for me, anything that you want to see from either the fish or the bunnies. Um, or my dogs even. I have two cats, I have two dogs. Aside from the bunnies and the fish. Um, but I'm kind of running out of ideas on what to post about. So, if anyone has any suggestions, that would be wonderful. There are my snails right back here. I actually have to take a turkey baster and suction out some waste, because I tried suctioning out waste the other day and it was awkward because I was using this hand, which is not my dominant hand. This hand is my dominant hand, and as you can see, I still have a finger injury that I am not allowed to get wet. So I just recently had my husband picked me up some latex gloves so that I can wear that, and then I can suction out the waste, because before I did not have a way to keep my finger dry, and the water is too deep to use the turkey baster to suck out waste without getting wet. So I tried to do it with my left hand and it wasn't working very well. I did get some waste out, but I didn't get out what I wanted because it was just too awkward. But yeah, I got to do that today. And then the other goal for me today is to move the bunnies from across the way. They're right across from me. And moving them upstairs into the fish room. This is sad to me because I like being in the living room and being able to look over at them whenever I want to. But in moving them, it will mean I can't see them unless I go into the fish room. And the reason for moving them is because now that the weather is getting cooler, my husband has a workout routine every morning. We do have a stationary bike inside that he uses, but we also have a Bowflex that's out in the garage. And he said when it gets colder, the last thing that he wants to do is trek from the door to the garage and work out in a cold garage and, stuff like that. So he wants to move the Bowflex in, and he'd like to be able to put it where the rabbit pen is. And in order to do that, we have to move the rabbits, and there really isn't a good place to put the rabbits unless we put them in the fish room. So I'm jiggling, sorry. So yeah, at least it'll only be temporary, and I'll make sure I go in and pop in on them and let them see me, and so I can see them and stuff like that while they're in there. And then once it gets warmer again, when winter is over, they can come back down into the real world where they're not just closed up in a room by themselves. I could technically free roam them in that room, but I'd rather not do that because I want to make sure that they're safe. And not when they're not supervised in there, I would be afraid that they would find something that I didn't think of. So the plan is to take their entire enclosure and put it up there. And then that's where they'd end up being until the colder months are over. But other than that, that's pretty much all that's going on. I am planning on actually grooming Bella today. She's overdue to do that. And I thought about recording it. I don't know who would be interested in that or not. She kind of can be a little bear to groom. She doesn't like her face done. She doesn't like her feet done. She's not mean about it, but she's vocal about it and struggles. But I used to be a dog groomer, and rather than taking her and paying somebody else to groom her, I just continue to do it by myself. So I thought maybe I can record that or snippets of that. I got some 4 beta females from Alluring Betas. And see, I say beta and then I put beta in his title. I got to figure out how I am going to pronounce the word. But I got 4 females from him. They arrived on Thursday. And I left them. They were quarantined in small containers for a few days to make sure everything was good. And I was sure they probably were because they came from Alluring Betas. I mean, I'm not concerned. But I also wanted to make sure that they were going to be okay from their journey because it was a really hot week. And so for a few days, that's where they were. The other day, I transferred them one by one from their containers into my sorority. There were 4 girls in there. Now there are 8, and they are doing well. So I actually can show you a clip of that. I do have some other plans for the fish room because I still have Jasper and Phoenix in their containers as they are growing fins back. I have exciting news about Jasper, who was swimming funny for a while. It looked like he had an injury where his body is curved and he couldn't stay afloat. That has changed, you guys. I'm super excited. He's not struggling like he was to swim. He's staying afloat when he's not physically swimming. When he just stays still, he's still floating, and that was not the case before. He built a bubble nest the other day, so I'm just over the moon excited that he is doing so well. Both he and Phoenix are growing back fins. They still both have a long way to go, but there has been changes. And I do want to get them out of their containers and into a tank. But I need the money for that, and I know it's not super expensive. I want to get a tank that I can put a divider in, and then put them on either side. But I need the money for the tank first, and normally I use the money that I donate plasma with, but all last week because I was sick, I didn't donate plasma, so I don't have the money. But I do plan to be donating today. But my goal is to get them out of their containers and into a tank that they can share. And Sapphire is still struggling with Popeye. We're on our 4th week of treatment. I don't know what else to do. Maybe try a different medication. I am using Betafix. It is API, which I knew was important. If you can think of a different medication that I could use for her. Maybe that'll be different. She is still active. She does still have an appetite. She's always, when I feed her, she knows I've fed her, and she actively searches for it until she finds it. I don't know if there are cases where Popeye is actually, where it actually doesn't go away but doesn't get worse. I would just like to really see her get better. But so far she's not, and I don't want to take her. I would love to put her into a bigger tank for herself, but while she is struggling to find her food, I really don't want to take her out of that container with deeper water and all of that, because I feel that it would make it that much harder for her to locate her food, and I really don't want to do that to her. But yeah, so I can give you some snippets of those fish right now. And I don't know, I'll decide if I am going to record grooming Bella or not. It might be awkward. I'll have to put my phone on a tripod and that, and I don't know if everything will be visible or anything like that. But I could give it a try. We'll see. But yeah, right now in the background, the snails are eating a bean. So it's like a magnet. The snails are all on there. But yeah, I will take you upstairs for a quick look at the sorority and even Jasper. I mean, I love, love, love that he is not struggling to swim anymore. I just happened to notice it one day and I thought, hey, wait a minute. He's not struggling. He's not sinking. I'm so excited. So let me take you up to the fish room. Here we are in the fish room. Here we've got Alpha. And his fins are growing back. I'm excited to see that. Hi, Mr. Alpha. He just had, in the past, some fin deterioration, and I'm happy to see that they're starting to grow back, get a little fuller. He's like, why are you recording me? Give me food. Stop recording me. Here's the sorority, and I'll try and point out to you the new girls. This is a new, that's Delta. This one here is new. That's Sigma. She's new. Trying to get a good look at her. That appears to be Sparkle. That's Sparkle. This one down here is new. This is Sassy. I was right. And this is Daisy. Daisy, Sassy, Sparkle, and Opal. Those are the new girls to the sorority. Then, of course, there's Kai, Pearl, Sigma, and Delta. So there are 8 girls in here, and they are doing super, super well. I'm really impressed that they are doing so well. I love it. And these girls, they were so dull when they were in their containers. I mean, you could see that they had these patterns, but they did not, their colors didn't pop until they were in this tank. So I was just so super excited about it. Their colors just, wow, they just came right out when I transferred them into this tank. And I did it one by one. I took them from their container. I put them in an old beta bowl like container that I got my other betas from the store. And I floated them to acclimate. And then that allowed me to see how they reacted to the girls that were in the tank and how the girls would react to them. And all was well. The only drama, I was going to say that like I was Canadian, guys. I was going to say the only drama. I am originally Canadian, so that's probably where that came from. But the only drama was Miss Opal here, who once she was in, she did chase Pearl a little bit and try and nip. But, you know, I figured that's to be expected. They've come into a tank where a hierarchy, pecking order was already established. And now with 4 new girls in there, another pecking order has to be established. So, but other than that little bit that Opal was doing, they've been perfect. I feel so lucky, knock on wood, that I have had such good luck with my sorority, because I've heard from other people how difficult it can be. The only really negative I had was when I got Kappa and wanted to put Kappa in, and she was just far too aggressive to be in there. But I at least discovered that during the acclimation process, because I saw how she wanted to chase the girls the whole time she was acclimating, and I decided at that point that she is too aggressive to go in here. So I didn't have to put her in and discover that later on. She was aggressive right from the get-go. But yeah, I love. And then I did have some deaths. I mean, Gamma died, Theta died, and then I had Itsy Bitsy, Lambda, and Zeta. Now, in my defense, Itsy Bitsy, Lambda, and Zeta were marketed at Petco as baby girls, which I learned later they were not necessarily babies. They were culls. They were like the size of Fry, really. They were so much smaller than these girls. And I think it was just a matter of time before they died. Sigma actually was marketed as a baby girl too, but she was a lot larger. The only thing I find different with her is that she doesn't have a lot of colors. She is gray, you know, for the most part, with light shining on her. Her fins have some iridescence, but other than that, she's pretty plain Jane. But she has survived and is doing well, whereas the other baby girls all passed. And then Theta died of an illness and Gamma died of an illness. But everybody else has been doing wonderfully. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with how well my sorority is doing. And Kai did show some aggression when I put her in at first. She did a lot of chasing for the first few days, but that died down. I'm assuming now that, you know, it died down because the pecking order was then established. But yeah, she started out as being a little bit of aggressive when she was introduced, but she didn't do that kind of a thing while she was acclimating, which is why I added her in the first place. So that's Kai there. Sigma and Delta. Sassy. Sparkle. Daisy. Oh. And Opal. So yeah. Super excited about how they're doing. Here is my sweet Sapphire with her bulging eyes. Yeah, if any of you have any suggestions on a different medication other than Betafix, it is an API med, which is what I wanted to make sure of because I knew that API was what she needed. But again, we are on our 4th week of treatment, and this is still how her eyes look. I don't know if it's possible for them to live a healthy life this way, where maybe the medication took care of the bacteria problem, but her eyes just won't go back down. I don't know. I mean, she's not getting worse any other way. She's not lethargic. She hasn't lost her appetite. I don't know, you guys. So if anybody has any suggestions on her, that would be wonderful. So we'll put her back. I think she's going to think that I fed her and she's going to start looking around. over here in this tank that is very tea colored, I'll probably take out the leaf soon. I have my Celestial Pearl Danios in here. I did start out with 5 when I got them because I knew that you needed a minimum of 5 in a school. But I now, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. But I now only have 3. The other 2 passed away and disappeared. To be honest, I have never found any bodies. Even when it first happened. One of the 5 disappeared like the day that I got it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I have never found a body. I was told by someone to look outside the tank because maybe they jump. But I don't keep the water line high anyway. I do need to do a water change and a vacuum gravel in here, but I don't keep the water line super high anyway. But I couldn't find a body outside the tank, inside the tank. Couldn't do it. And then a few more days later, another one disappeared. And they're so hard to film because they swim so fast. Never did find a body. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Their fish are magic. They just poof. They just disappeared. Because I don't know if they eat their own dead, but you'd think that it would take them a while for that to happen since it's those fish were their size. But they're gone. They're not in here. I searched, and my husband came and looked too. I thought a fresh pair of eyes maybe. Nope, there are no bodies. But these 3 are doing well. They have hearty appetites when I feed them. They never come to the top to eat. They wait for the flake food to sink. I want to get brine shrimp again, frozen brine shrimp. But we have had some issues with our refrigerator and our freezer. Our freezer had gone out, so we couldn't keep anything frozen. So we couldn't have any frozen brine shrimp or anything like that. And we just haven't got around to, now that we've replaced the freezer, we haven't got around to buying more brine shrimp or bloodworms. So they've just been eating their flake food for right now, but they just wait for it to kind of float along the surface to over here, and then it starts to sink, and then they like dart around eating it throughout the water when it's floating. So they are super shy. They stay in the back a lot, but I have seen them venture to the front every now and then, even with me in here, which is an improvement because usually when I come in here, they just dart to the back and hide behind the plants. But they are opening up a little bit more and sometimes willing to venture out to the front when I'm in here watching them. So they're doing well. But they're super hard to record. And it's really hard to see the coloration in them because of the tea-colored water. But there is this one here. You can see he's darker than the others. I'm assuming that's a male because I know males are more colorful than females. So I'm guessing that I have a male and 2 females in here. I don't know. But I see his colors a lot better than you do because of the lighting in the film. But maybe in the future we can have some Celestial Pearl Daniel babies in the future. Who knows? But let's move on to Jasper because I am so excited about him. This is Jasper, you guys. Look at his fins are growing, and look at he's not struggling to swim, you guys. He looks like any other beta would who sees me. Look at when he relaxes, he's not sinking to the bottom, which he would immediately do. I don't know if I actually recorded him. I'll have to look back in my videos. But look at that, look at that, look at that. I mean, seriously, when I first got him, he couldn't do that. He would immediately sink as soon as he relaxed. I am so, and look at how long that piece of his ventral fin is. He's got so much more growth to go, but look at how much he has. This that he didn't have before. I will have to look back at older videos just to see the difference. But his swimming is what excites me the most, that he is swimming so much better. I mean, in the beginning, I thought I would have to euthanize him. And I'm so glad that I stuck it out because he is doing so stinking well. I can't stand it. And I don't think he has a bubble nest right now. He just, I'd have to do a water change in here. He has the remnants of a bubble nest that he hasn't maintained. But water changes today. This is Kappa. She is notorious for and she needs a tank too. I need to put her in something as well. But she is notorious for when I lift this lid, she tries to jump out because she knows she's going to be fed when I lift the lid. And as soon as I lift it, she jumps and like almost gets stuck on the side because she's trying to jump out. Here is Jasper again. He is like, it's going to be, he swims like Jasper swims just like him now. You know, I'm so super excited about that. There's fins growing back. Jasper and Phoenix, if you remember, were two that were in Walmart, and some stupid person decided to put them together in a cup, and just for the fun of it, to see them fight, and they really did damage each other. So it's going to be a long process, but you know, look at how well, you know, Jasper is swimming well again. Fins are growing back slowly. But yeah, I am super, super excited about how well that they are doing. He needs a water change too. He's got remnants of a bubble nest as well. The tea color is from the leaves, obviously, but there is waste in here that I need to get out. So water changes are going to happen today. Yeah, they're super. You know, normally I do a water change every day. This has been like 2 days now, and I feel bad. But again, I was sick, so I was having a hard time, you know, finding the energy to do it. And I just hope that they forgive me for neglecting them for a day. And I'll do their water changes today. But yeah, so those are my fish, you guys. But yeah, everybody is doing super well. I'm so excited about Jasper. Like, look, he couldn't just rest like that. He had to swim so hard to stay afloat. And if he relaxed at all, he would sink. And he's not doing it now, you guys. And oh, I'm just over the moon about it. Over the moon. So anyway, that was a peek at my fish. Of course, we can't forget my bunnies. Hi, Milo. Hi, baby boy. I'm gonna move you upstairs to the fish room. I'm gonna miss you. Yeah, where's Hera? There's Hera. I need to do a good cleaning in their enclosure. I neglected their litter box a little bit too, so it got super high because those wood pellets expand, so this ends up becoming more and more full, and then when they end up peeing, they miss the litter box and they pee on the fleece. You checking out, Bella? But I think my dog outside just scared somebody half to death, so hold on, you guys. Okay, well, apparently that was the mailman or mail lady, mail carrier, and she was going to deliver our mail and the dog was out, which again, Brindley scared her half to death. I mean, she looks like a pit bull, so, or a lot of people think she is a pit bull, and she can sound pretty vicious. So today we're not getting our mail because when the dog is out, they skip our house. But sometimes it's hard for me to know, like when the dog has to go out, the dog has to go out. And they always deliver the mail at different times. So, I really never know. And today we're just not going to get our mail. It'll come tomorrow with, an elastic band around it that says dog was out. And that'll be it, I guess. But yeah, so a little bit of a look at my fish, a little peek in at the bunnies. And if you have any ideas on any content that you want to see, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Hi, Brinley. Brinley, you scare the mail lady? Did you scare the mail lady? Huh? Did you scare her? This is my Brinley. Yeah, she's 2 years old. She is actually an American Bulldog slash Staffordshire Terrier slash German Shepherd. Her mom was half German Shepherd, but she likes to chew. Sometimes it hurts. Her mom had German Shepherd hair and an American Bulldog face. Her dad was a Staffordshire Terrier, American Bulldog. So all babies looked more like dad. And Brinley was the only one with a brindle coloring. And she was the runt. She is super sweet. She doesn't know her own strength half the time, so when she plays, she gets carried away. And sometimes it hurts. But we love her to death. We got her when she was 5 weeks old. The family really should have kept her longer because 5 weeks is too early. But the mom wasn't nursing anymore, and even though she should have stayed so she could be with her siblings, hey, she sees people, but you know, she should have been with her siblings longer. But she came to us at 5 weeks, and I'm going to get whipped in the face by this tail. And we've had her ever since, and she's been a really sweet girl. It did take a little while to potty train her. But she is potty trained, thank the Lord. There were times that she would just stand at the door waiting to go, but she wouldn't audibly tell you. And if you didn't see her, she just gave up and went, oh, she jumped on me, guys. But she would find a place in the kitchen to go because nobody let her out. But because in her mind she asked, but nobody responded to her when nobody noticed. But now she will stand at the door and do the same thing, but rather than going off to the kitchen to potty, she will actually start to cry. So that is good that she, and see in the background we have another fish tank. That is my husband's tank. We have an Oscar, a Jack Dempsey, and a convict cichlid in there, and that convict cichlid is kind of mine. I would like to get him out of there and into a tank of mine when I get one big enough. He was born in that tank, and I love him. He's super sweet. I named him Blue. He's 2 years old. When we had a sickness run rampant through that tank, it pretty much took everybody except the Jack Dempsey and him and one of his siblings. It wiped out his parents. It wiped out our Oscar. It wiped out our flower horn. It just, you know, it took everybody. And the Jack Dempsey is still in there. He's 4 years old. So yeah, it took out everybody except the two siblings of the convicts. And recently, well, in the last month or so, month and a half, 2 months, we had to euthanize the other convict. He'd been sick for months, very lethargic, was still trying to eat, but really struggled to swim to the surface to get the food. And I only think he survived as long as he did because his sibling would bring food to him. He'd go into where he was hiding and feed him. So for months, this is the way it went. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, you know what? He's suffering. He can hardly swim to get the food anymore. You know, we don't know what was wrong with him. There wasn't anything visually wrong with him. There was just something going on. So we decided it was time to put him out of his misery and euthanize him. So we did that, and now Blue is on his own. I mean, he's in there with the Oscar and the Jack Dempsey, but they pretty much leave him alone. They do their own thing, they leave him be. But I would love to get him out of that tank and into his own, where he can have a friend. So eventually that's going to be my goal. We do have a 55-gallon in the garage that I can clean out and actually put him in if I want to. But I'm lazy and I don't want to clean it. I don't want to clean it out. So, but here in a little while I probably will, just because, I mean, it's a perfectly good 55-gallon tank sitting out there. And across the way over here, we do have another 55-gallon. They actually came together. The stand actually holds both. And in this 55-gallon, we have African cichlids, which, again, my husband takes care of. Those are his hobby. So, yeah, we have several tanks in this house. But, yeah, so we have learned that you have to really overpopulate that African cichlid tank, because we have a lot of deaths in that tank. There's never enough fish in there. Whenever you go somewhere else, it always seems like there's way too many fish in there for the size of the tank. But what we have learned is that because of how aggressive they are, if you don't have enough in there, they are able to single out somebody and pick on them until they're dead. And then they eat each other. They eat their dead. And the more you put in there, to the point of nearly overpopulation, they can't single anybody out because there are too many. And then your what's the word I'm looking for? The lives last. You know, there isn't going to be those deaths because nobody is being singled out, because they can start to chase somebody and then there's somebody else and it's like, oh, squirrel, and they don't continue to focus on that fish. So we have not found the happy number yet on how many fish to have in that 55. Right now I know there's not enough. I think there's 9, and we just don't have the money right now to put more in, unless we put in more than one. Or like we have to, I don't want to, we can put in 1 or 2, but we want to be able to put more in than that at a time, because otherwise they just one by one, they're dead. And since we had the issue with the freezer going out, paying to replace the freezer, and now the fridge has gone out, and Friday we're going to be getting a delivery of a new refrigerator. You know, money has just been having to go other places, so we haven't been able to put the number of fish in there that we need for the deaths to stop happening. So anyway, this has become a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, because not only did I didn't just talk like I thought I was going to. I showed you the fish, and then I did more talking, and no wonder my voice disappears. But I did want to say, you know, I am running out of my own ideas on things to record that are original, at least to me. I've done cleaning videos of the enclosure. I've done watching them eat. I've done some educational things, just observation. But tell me what else you think I could do. I'm not quite sure. I'm still new to this YouTubing world. I mean, I know I've been making videos since April, since I got the bunnies, but again, my audience is also very small right now. I do find it difficult to get subscribers. It's certainly not like other places, like, you know, I'm on Amino, I'm on Instagram, and I get followers constantly from that. But YouTube's a little different, and I have anxiety, and part of me has anxiety over getting bigger. Like if I have a lot more followers, then I feel like there's more pressure. Not that I don't want the followers, I do. I just get anxiety over that as well. So I do want the followers, but at the same time, I feel anxiety over that. If that makes any sort of sense for anybody who has anxiety. Um, but yeah, if you have any ideas on anything that I can put out, that would be awesome. And I think I will end this here because I do have some things that I need to do. I need to do water changes on those betas, and I still want to groom Bella, and I have to move the rabbits from the living room to the fish room, which I don't necessarily have to do today. I could do it before the weekend. I know he wants it done before the weekend. He's out of town until Friday, so I can at least do it before Saturday. I have today off, but I work only until 2 tomorrow. So there is still time for me to do it. I'll probably get overwhelmed if I try and do all of it today. That's my anxiety for you. But yeah. So I will hopefully talk with you guys later, and I hope to hear some suggestions. I hope to hear some suggestions from you, and I hope everybody has a great day.